How's it going, guys? Thank you very much for that introduction. We are here today with Jun Li from Ontology, guys. This is actually our final and our last interview. We saved the best for last, actually. First off, I want to say Ontology has been pretty much a driving force in the entire NEO ecosystem. So I am honored today to having to do this interview with Jun Li here to talk a little bit about Ontology and some of the interesting things that are happening. And I'll be honest with you, the white paper is 36 pages, so it is a highly ambitious and highly well-regarded project that I think you guys are going to find interesting. So first of all, thank you very much, Jun Li.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about Ontology specifically. There's a lot of things in here that my viewers always had a question on as far as one of the premier projects on the just overall. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit, and just for anybody who hasn't heard it, what is Ontology and what is it attempting to do?
Okay, Ontology actually is a platform, including two important parts. The first is Ontology is a public blockchain infrastructure and a platform. The difference is there are multiple blockchain. It's kind of chain network. We have a private common public blockchain infrastructure. Also, chain network have a lot of protocol with interchain protocol as protocol group as a new kind of infrastructure and public blockchain. Another above the infrastructure level, we have the module can support different specific industry and common modules like decentralized identity framework and decentralized data exchange protocol. And we'll have more module and protocols can support different industry. So that is Ontology. It's a platform can support a real business case, can running as a decentralized service directly without any blockchain technical background.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So my understanding is, after kind of going over Ontology, guys, is that there's three components of that, and maybe John can kind of go into it. One of them is being trust, and that was all over the white paper, all over the website, yeah. And also verification, and the last one being identity. The three pillars of the core vision of Ontology. So John, let's talk a little bit about this, how are we integrating all of this in what we'll call the distributed ledger technology? Can you talk us a little bit about how we are building a framework, correct me if I'm wrong, okay, over these three pillars, and a little bit about how each of these are important in the blockchain?
Okay. Above our infrastructure, blockchain infrastructure, have an important module. It's part of Ontology. It's called decentralized, the distributed identity framework. This framework have in first version we have a complex implemented the W3C's DID protocol complexly. That is first one in public blockchain doing that. And the distributed identity will link different trust source. It's not totally decentralized. That means use a decentralized approach to link or integrate some different trust source. The trust source may be from the centralized trust source, from government or from university or the company enterprise, and also can be the decentralized trust source like from a community, from a people by people. But everyone can control different trust source to compare his or her the trust package. And they can use any kind of trust source depending on different scenario.
So let me understand this carefully. There are two camps right now. There's centralized trust sources, and then there is the decentralized. So Ontology is attempting to perhaps maybe be the bridge between centralized information and decentralized. Would that be an accurate statement as far as that?
Yes, it's kind of the integration platform. They can integrate the centralized source and also decentralized source together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your Ontology ID specifically on identification and using privacy. We've had a lot of problems right now with blockchain technology, and one of them being that information is widely public, and a lot of people have complained, and one of the criticisms for blockchain has been that if I want to store financial records, medical records, everybody can see that.
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to move forward? How's Ontology attempting to tackle this problem, especially for government agencies, medical records, etc.?
Okay. Ontology actually is more like, for identity part, is more like a connector or search engine. That means your personal information will not be online or on-chain. You will not keep your different data, your personal data, keep in the original source. Just only open kind of category or data address. And people cannot touch your data without your proof. So that kind of can protect your privacy on the data, but also you can improve the cooperation and automatically to run a business case.
So when I heard you mention the word indexing. It's very similar to like Google, how Google has access to. People say Google has access to our information, but in reality, it's an indexing system that catalogs it. Is that an accurate statement? Would you say of what Ontology is attempting to do with data that's private and data that's public?
Yes, we have a called Ontology Trust Search Engine. It's kind of a top level the application. But the difference with the current search engines, everyone you set the data, the service, the people, or objects, you can have a way to prove what is true and what is not.
Exactly.
But you can to verify that, and everyone can control your privacy. Without your proof, other guys cannot touch your data.
Interesting point here. Let's talk about private chains and public chains. You mentioned also that in the white paper that you can build blockchains and that specifically you can opt to use the NEO blockchain or not. Can you tell us about why would you have that? Why would you not use any existing blockchains, and why would you go ahead and build your own in multiple chains?
Okay, this is actually the case. Currently, if you want to, currently the public blockchain, we can say that is second generation. First, of course, Bitcoin. The second generation also meets a lot of issues to support the real business case. One is performance. It's clear. Like another more important is cannot meet the specific requirement from a different real business scenario. Those kind of scenarios need to have their own governance requirements model with different consensus model, some permission policy, and even more the regulation requirement. Some case of different industry, they need a deeply customization and build their own blockchain. But they cannot be only private blockchain. That's not workable. They needed to link with the public blockchain with a kind of the cooperation in part. So Ontology is private platform, common platform for public blockchain, but also private framework, blockchain framework can do the deeply customization to build their own sub blockchain. Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. And one of the things I'm really impressed, guys, is one of this idea of, we talked about on this channel about side chains, specifically privacy, enterprise level chains. Ontology is really hitting that point. So let's move over to your token specifically. You've not say, I wouldn't say just borrow the model of gas and from NEO. There's two tokens out. The first one is the ONG token, and the other one's the ONT. Can you talk a little bit about how these two tokens are going to be used in the platform? Voting rights, currency tokens, things like that.
Okay, the token mechanism is same as NEO because it is very workable. Actually, we think have approved by the market and the usage. And how ONT is kind of a governance model. They can do the governance for the Ontology network. They can, for example, voting for some parameter setting or the mechanism adjustment. And for ONG is kind of utility gas, utility token. They can use for the different common service like transaction or common storage, and also include the smart contract. Yeah.
So you have the option to launch your own smart contracts. Is that correct? Would that be a correct statement?
Yes.
And you also have the option of not using NEO's smart contracts.
For the digital, if the digital assets, they will launch the digital asset, issue the digital assets on the NEO blockchain and use those kind of token on Ontology network. They will use NEO's smart contract. But for some real case business process, maybe we'll use Ontology smart contract.
Let's talk a little about your NEO relationship, specifically NEO ID versus Ontology ID. Can you tell us a little bit about the differences between NEO ID and what they're trying to do with the trust, same thing, verification systems, and your specific ID system?
NEO ID is kind of identity service verification provider. They have their own account system based on NEO blockchain. But Ontology ID framework is not a verification provider. It's a kind of marketplace or mapping list. They can link to different account system or ID system, like NEO ID. Also include the national EID or some kind of SAY system, and also future maybe include other the system, IT system or blockchain's ID. Yeah.
I read somewhere that was really interesting that there wouldn't be, with your ID system, there's a possibility that you would need a passport, the elimination of the passport. Is that something in the future where I can actually upload the ID systems and there won't be no longer a reason to use passports because your network would actually contain that ID system across boards and you could actually use it across different financial instruments also specifically through borders and geographic locations?
Sure, actually we are doing that right now because we will link to the China's national EID and also the financial institutions CA system. And then you can use the ontology, the ID and the application to verify your national EID directly.
Got it.
That means next time maybe you need a passport. This can be linked to more countries, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your business APIs.
Yeah.
So you've talked a little bit about, we're talking about passports. Mm-hmm. How are you encouraging businesses to eventually develop some sort of APIs into your network? How is your development team doing that right now? It looks like you guys are, financial systems could be in place, hospitals are in place. Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, we can have several parts. One is infrastructure level, where we provide the basic API for different common modules. And for the different specific vertical industry, we will provide kind of the common module for those industry. For example, financial maybe have their specific data format for FX or different data exchange format. We will provide a common module for them. And for the if anyone want to build the financial service or application ontology, they can use the module directly. They needn't to care about how to write the smart contract. They use API to finish their process. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Let's talk a little bit about the also the compliance in data. So I envision China, for example. It's a highly centralized economy. Mm-hmm. It seems like your project is really tied into this idea of ID. Do you see yourself working really well with compliance and regulation, specifically for identities, also for government paperwork? For example, if I'm living in one city, I want to transfer all my paperwork in there. Do you see that ID being taken off in China, specifically in a country where the government has a really good handle of, needs to have a really good handle of its citizens and also, the ID structure? Yeah,
for the even cross countries, you can use same idea. The governments also need a private the public service.
Yes.
They need a public platform to do that. And the ontology is kind of choice for those kind of service because we will not touch personal the data. We just kind of link a connector. They will help government to private the public server very easily, and also they can be more open. And everyone can trust them, not only their own IT system. So that is a way to do that. Yeah.
Going a little bit about China specifically with NEO, your relationship. On-chain.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit. On-chain, in my understanding, is the parent company for both Ontology and for NEO. So would you consider yourselves brothers and sisters for NEO?
Okay, I want to do some clarification for that. On-chain, of course, on-chain CEO and co-founder with me is Dongfei is the co-founder of the founder of the on-chain. But on-chain with NEO is different team. That's first thing. Ontology is on-chain's project. So on-chain is initial the ontology project, but finally ontology will become a public commit project. But in this phase, they are on-chain's project. Yeah.
On-chain's project.
Yeah.
Let's the last part I want to kind of talk about here is there was a graphic on pharmaceutical companies, or let's just say, for example, doctors. Mm-hmm. Can you tell a little about in the medical field specifically? How would this help someone? For example, when I go to a doctor and I want to get some prescription medications. Yes. I have to go to the doctor first. Yeah. I have to go to the pharmacy. The pharmacy has to send the prescription to the doctor to verify that, to see if it's me. And the pharmacist has to verify that the drugs, the medications are correct.
Yeah.
How do you see ontology kind of fitting in that role of ID verification, trust?
Okay. We call that process is distributed cooperation process. Yeah. In many business process actually is cross organization, even cross country. For this case, is doctor. You need the pharmacy need to verify the doctor and the doctor's paper need how to it's real or not, it's legal or illegal.
Yes.
And in this time, is for example in US they have built some vertical IT system to cover some process that is high cost and cannot cover everything. If you have the public blockchain to do that, I can easily verify the doctor. And how to verify doctor, maybe link the doctor's trust package. Maybe is FDA or the other governments can verify, this is licensed, doctors have been licensed and it can be trusted. And pharmacy, I don't care who are you, I just can verify you, it's enough. So those kind of cooperation very easily and automatically with very low cost. And the idea not only for the medical field, they can cover the more different industry, those kind of distributed cooperation.
The distribution organization, you're talking about vertical levels of trust. So what you're basically saying is, in the future, there's a possibility that you no longer have to use paper to verify IDs to verify.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be digital.
Yes.
And that digital ID could work across different countries.
Yes.
And work in different governments.
Yeah.
Because they're all working on the ID.
Yes. Okay.
Amazing. I'm first off, guys. If you have not checked Ontology, I'm really impressed in terms of the ID system. So leaving off with that, is there something, if somebody were to say, how would you clarify Ontology in 3 or 4 sentences, maybe less than that, for someone who says, why would we be interested in how would blockchain, decentralization, centralization, and Ontology be the wave of the future? What would you say to that quote?
Okay, Ontology is kind of the mixed blockchain infrastructure. They have the decentralized common service, blockchain service, and also will include or integrated some centralized service or even centralized the blockchain system, private blockchain system. That means we use a decentralized approach or architecture to integrate centralized service and decentralized service together to running for this new ecosystem. That is we build the bridge to the real case, real business case. Not if you're totally decentralized and a stable mechanism, you cannot involve every business scenario to the blockchain service.
Awesome. Yeah. And there was actually, one last question here. You are building protocols as well. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Plus you're building an infrastructure.
Yeah.
In terms of your protocols, I know there was a lot of them in here I wanted to go over, but in terms of security, are you implementing RSA and any of the high-level security, especially when we're dealing with ID? And talk a little bit about those protocols.
Okay. The security part have 2 parts. Is privacy. The privacy, we use a mechanism, don't touch your raw data, just a kind of address. Another is the data protection, like we use the crypto, the modules. You can protect your data during the transfer. Another is kind of the MP is multiple the calculation, the security calculation, the modules. You can do the calculation without no any data information. So this kind of module will be added to the Ontology to support that.
Well, thank you very much for that interview, Jung. I really appreciated having that great conversation, guys. So that's going to wrap up our whole entire NEO interview conference for today. I want to first of all say thank you for the NEO platform ecosystem, NEO News Today, for hosting this, sponsoring this whole event. Without that, we couldn't have had these great speakers here, like Jung here talking about Ontology. We've had an awesome experience. I personally have enjoyed just talking to everybody. I also like to thank the Moonlight Project for also providing the ground transportation, basically the airfare, everything. I am eternally grateful. I hope all of you enjoyed everything today for NEO DevCon. Even though you were not here, most likely there will be another one. And again, all these streams will be recorded on my channel and also across all the other YouTube channels. If you have any additional questions that maybe you wanted to get answered, please send them over to me on the comments below, or you can email me and I can send them over to the team here at NEO and also to the projects I covered. But once again, thank you guys, and that was the end of our session.